Figure out strategies to proactively put good content in your brain. Because if you don't have it figured out, you'll default to what you know, which is probably not what's going to be best for you.
Hi, this is Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to the Magellan Network Show. My goal inside of this communication, this show, is to share with you my nearly 30 years of coaching some of the most successful financial advisors in North America. We're going to be talking about strategies, syntaxes. We're going to be bringing guests on from time to time, and I'm going to share with you what's working now. So think of this show as sort of like a little one-on-one kind of mini coaching cast, if you like, where we're going to be going in depth from time to time on strategies to help you grow your business, get more effective, become more efficient, find balance in your time management, grow your business, and quite frankly, whatever else is going on in the world today. So before we get to today's episode, I'd love for you to do a couple things for me. Number one, make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're doing the audio, make sure that you give us a review on whether Spotify or Apple. We'd really appreciate that. And quite frankly, that does help. It does matter when you rate things and like things and subscribe to things. It helps us get the word out to more of the industry. And lastly, I have a very special gift for you. Go to MagellanNetwork.net, so one word, MagellanNetwork.net, and I have for you a complimentary membership, 100% gratis, where you can tap into about between 50 and 75 hours of masterclasses, forms, tools, templates, and strategies. So please go ahead and make sure you go ahead and get that claimed. Smash the like button and subscribe. And please go ahead and leave us a review on whatever podcasting platform you're on. And now, let's get to this week's episode.
Hi, it's your Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Here we are at the coming to the conclusion of Q1 2025. And what I wanted to do, it's something that I've been talking to a lot of my personal clients about, really putting it into the group work that I do, is that, in environments like this, and environments are just uncertainty, a lot of market noise, a lot of news noise, stuff like that. So it's not no indictment either way, just, hey, this is the environment that we're operating in. It's super important that as you, the advisor, identify a couple key things, right? So the first thing is that your clients are looking to you for leadership. And there's two ways that manifest, okay? The first way is the way we don't want, which is we get these kind of calls out of the blue, or these very impassioned emails of people who are clients of yours who are really just having a challenge right now, right? Mentally, emotionally. They operate in a state of scarcity, fear, uncertainty. And you got to remember, all human beings have what we call a certainty spectrum, if you will. And while some people can deal with a lot of uncertainty, they kind of look forward to it. It's kind of interesting. It's non-boring, stuff like that. Other people are more certainty driven. And if you've got clients, and we all do, who are very certainty driven, when the conditions cross their threshold, not ours, but theirs, you can get somebody who gets emotional, irrational, and things like that. The reason why I bring this up is I remember vividly March of 2020. Some of you can remember those days, right? And I remember I was talking to a relatively new personal client of mine at the time, I'd say younger advisor, with a nationally known RIA, in fact, the largest RIA at the time. And literally, when the government decided to shut everything down, right, kind of close it all off, everybody's got a sequester, things like that. I remember he texted me a 911, said, we got to talk immediately. I got on the phone with him, and he literally told me, and I'll never forget kind of the genesis of the conversation. Hey, we have to stop working immediately together. It's okay. Look, I get it. I tend not to fight those battles. But I asked him why. And he says, Joe, you don't understand. I go, what do I don't understand? We're going to be in a depression. There's going to be soup lines, in the 30s. I said, "Do you really believe that?" He goes, "Yeah, man. Like, look what's going on around us, stuff like that." And the first question I asked him was, "Your clients call you today because if you truly believe that, you either got to tell your clients to cash out and buy, I don't know, gold, seed, go buy a cave somewhere. Like, I don't know what you tell them, right? But if you tell them to stay in the market while you're saying this, then you might as well just not be an advisor anymore. You might as well just hang it up, right? You're violating what I consider to be kind of one of the core rules in our game, which is, you eat your own cooking, right? So you believe something, that's what you believe. Long story short, obviously we separated a couple of years ago. I happened to, I don't know, you get those LinkedIn updates, right? So he was on my LinkedIn update and he's got a whole new job, totally out of the industry, stuff like that. Good for him. Shouldn't be in the game anyway. The reason why I'm bringing this to you is that one of the things that I know precipitated his kind of flame out was he was digesting nothing but news, right? And I have seen this in over 30 years now. There's a need for advisors to want to be informed. God help us if a client asks a question we don't have an answer to, right? So advisors tend to overconsume news, especially financial news and political news and everything else out there. And what you have to be aware of is it will affect your mindset. It's like a slow boil, right? It's not like, okay, I watch some news and I feel crappy, right? Although towards the latter part it does get like that. It's a slow shift as you take on more and more negativity, more and more things that might inflame you emotionally. It has a direct impact on not just your psychology, your mood. It affects your ability to lead, your ability to influence, your ability to persuade and keep your clients in the game if that is required. So one of the things I think is critical is that you limit your indigestion, if you will, of news. Now, I'm not saying not to be involved. Look, I've shared this many times. I am a vivid reader of the Wall Street Journal. I read that puppy every day. Ask me when I read it, though. Probably 7, 8 o'clock at night. And most of the time, I don't even read it. I just scan the headlines, right? And it's on my iPad. It's got the nice little Wall Street Journal app, really cool. Does the bookmark stuff, excellent. I tend to look more at the travel stuff, but that's neither here nor there. So I'm informed. But here's what I don't do. I don't start my day with it, right? Because I have found, because I'm human, that will really kind of, it has the potential to really get me spiraling. I remember, and I'll share a personal story, this was probably 5, 6 years ago now, when we were drawing out of Afghanistan, and my wife and I are big dog lovers. And I remember reading articles about how they were leaving the dogs behind. And that got me upset. It got me very angry. And for about a day or two, I was really beside myself. And then I realized that I had fallen into the trap that I tell everybody else not to fall into, which was I got sucked up in the news vortex. I remember because I was on a summer sabbatical. I was on the road with my wife. I think we were in Charleston, South Carolina on a road trip. And I just remember that morning waking up after reading another story and seeing some images and just no. I literally took every app that had anything to do with it, including Facebook, and I deleted all the apps off my phone. All of them, like everything. So if anything that has news is no longer on my phone. And I literally took a mental break from all news for at least a week. Well, I said, the rest of my trip, I'm not, you know what? If something really bad happens, it'll find me, right? If there's some really terrible news. And I felt a lot better a couple days later. Like, okay, I got myself back, stuff like that. Thank God I was doing like a sabbatical where I wasn't right. I didn't have to go be at my best with clients or influence advisors or do anything like that because I knew I was mentally and emotionally compromised for those couple of days.
Hi, Coach Joe Lukacs here, and I'm just breaking here for a moment just to do a couple quick reminders. Number one, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast. In addition, please leave a comment or a review. Those things really, really matter. And share this episode with 3 of your colleagues inside the financial services space. And lastly, make sure that you go ahead and claim your free membership inside of Magellan Network. Now back to this week's episode.
That's how powerful and sinister it is if you don't watch your mental diet. And I always equate this to, physical diet. Like if you want to be physically healthy, and you start your day with sugar, and then you go into fat and sugar for lunch, and then you eat carbohydrates and sugar for dinner, right? You're just not going to be healthy. You're just ingesting the wrong foods, right? Well, the same thing with the mindset. With your mindset, if you're ingesting the wrong information, when I say wrong, I'm not saying what you believe or what you don't believe, but just kind of what you ingest in yourself. And I see this all the time. Advisors will have and especially in the world of Zoom now or Teams or GoToMeeting, whatever, is that if you're in your office and you're Zooming with clients or you're doing any kind of video conference with clients, and behind one of your shoulders is a TV, and that TV's on to pick your flavor, Fox Biz, CNBC, Bloomberg, whatever, doesn't matter to me, right? And I know what some of you are going to say, but Joe, I just have it on for background noise. So let me explain how background noise works. Your subconscious mind ingests everything around you at all times while you're conscious. Okay. Now, you may not be aware of it consciously, but trust me, it's getting in there. Okay. And so you may not be paying attention to it consciously, but you're getting all this negativity over your left or right ear throughout the day. It will affect you. It will affect you. Okay. Conversely, if I'm doing, let's play a game here. I'm an advisor and I'm doing a review with one of my clients. I'm doing it over Zoom or, like I said, video conferencing. And behind me, I've got CNBC on. And then right below in big red letters, markets down the longest in the last 6 months, right? And the person can see it on the TV, on the screen, right? Don't you think that's going to affect your client's approach to the review? Here we are going to tell them, hey, we feel we're properly allocated. We're taking a long-term approach. All conditions are temporary, stuff like that. But here it is, the exact counter argument right over your shoulder that you're trying to mitigate with the client. Like, why are we doing this, right? You still do it. It's like saying if you're married and your spouse is trying to get healthy and you just keep showing up every night with Haagen-Dazs ice cream, their favorite flavor, like, what are you doing? You're not being supportive. You've got to be super solid and be extremely cognizant and aware of what you're mentally putting inside of your mind. Okay? Super important. And one of the things that I think is super critical is you check in with your clients and you find out what they're ingesting. If you're dealing with people that are still, in the workforce, whether they're W-2 executives or, they're business owners, professionals, they're playing their game, they're doing their thing. They may be ingesting some news, but chances are they're doing their main thing, right? If you have retired clients, I almost will guarantee you, because, I've got members of my family who are retired, and all they do is watch the news. It's like scary, right? And again, I don't care what flavor of news you listen to. It's not the point here. But man, that's going to mess you up. It just will. So one of the things I want you to do as an advisor, number one, check yourself to make sure that you're doing things properly, right, from that perspective. And don't be afraid to check in with some of your clients, especially if you have clients that are sensitive, very sensitive to uncertainty. I guarantee you what's making them uncertain is their mental diet. It's what they're ingesting. And remember, mental diet comes from what we read, what we listen to, what we watch, and who we interact with. Okay? The fourth one is the most challenging one because it may be a spouse. It may be a close family member, right? I don't know. So that becomes a little bit more of a challenge, right? And we've all read stories in our wonderful political divide of, family splitting off because one person supports this scenario, another person supports in that scenario, and we just can't, kind of find the middle anymore. That's a little bit more challenging to deal with here. So I'm not asking you guys to go in there and be relationship counselors, but just be very clear yourself. Like, you got to, the old saying, which is very cliche-ish, put your mask on first before you help other people. But in this regard, it's so true. Like, you got to take care of you. Now, some of you are going to ask, well, Joe, if I kind of get rid of all that, like, what do I do, right? Read a good book. Put some background. I tend to, so when I work, when I'm on my strategic, and this week has been pretty much a strategic week for me, doing a lot of projects. I'm a big YouTuber, right? Obviously, I got my own channel, and I subscribe to others. So I will put something on that's going to be good for me long term. It might be something from like Ed Milet or Brandon Bouchard or Tony Robbins or Dan Martell or people I follow, right? But sometimes I just don't even want that. right? So I will find, and there are plenty of YouTube channels for this, by the way, free background noise, background music, light jazz or instrumental or classical or something like that, where it just is a nice little background thing to have. They usually have good imagery with it. They make some for sleep that has a certain frequency that helps you go to sleep. Studies have shown, YouTube is just not for stupid stuff. A power tool for you, free, if you decide to use it. But I think those are some things that you really, really want to be just aware of going forward. And, it's always good to take a little mental break from things. So for me, and I'll share this, I don't think I've really talked about this in a while. I consume content maybe 3 different ways. So I'm talking mostly about books, okay? If somebody recommends a book and I really am into it, I do 2 things. Normally, if somebody sends me a book, and I do get a lot of unsolicited gifts for books, which I really, really appreciate. If I really like a book, I will now buy the Kindle version of it for whatever, $12 or $15. And I already have an Audible subscription. And so I'll just grab it off Audible too. Now why would somebody want a book, 3 different ways, right? Because sometimes I'm okay reading it on a Kindle, and I've got Kindle app on my iPad, and I also have a paper Kindle. I know it sounds like overkill, but it depends, right? If I just want to tune out the world, I won't open my iPad. I'll just open up my Kindle and read the book there. What's good about Kindle or a lot of these cloud-based is if you read it one place, it will remember where is the next place. You're not kind of trying to figure out where the heck you are inside the book. And then sometimes, quite frankly, and I got this from Alex Hormozy, which I follow on YouTube and read several of his books, is that he'll read a book and listen to it simultaneously, and it gives you kind of a double input, which really then ingrains, the content in your brain because you're getting it visually and then also auditorily. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic there. But sometimes I just don't want to even have my eyes open, especially if you're like me, you're in front of a screen, pretty much all day. And sometimes your eyes just don't want to do more screen work. So that's where I'll either get the Kindle paper or I'll just listen to it on Audible and just close my eyes and be fine, or sit outside or take a walk or whatever I'm going to do. The point I'm making is figure out strategies to proactively put good content in your brain. Because if you don't have it figured out, you'll default to what you know, which is probably not what's going to be best for you. All right, that's super, super important. So just some strategies that I want to share with you guys this week in terms of just putting yourself in the most resourceful state that you can be so that you can add maximum value to your client relationships and those that who are around you. Okay. So if you're not already a member of Magellan Network, MagellanNetwork.net, especially with everything going on, I am offering technically 30 days of working with me gratis. You just have to fill out an application. Michael will interview you, and as long as you're a good human being, you get your 30 days. We're not asking for any money or anything like that, and see if it helps you. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul. That's my philosophy for years. And with that said, thank you for listening and watching this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Let's have a great week, and I'll see you guys in 7 days.
Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, if any of this resonated with you, I invite you to come to MagellanNetwork.net, and we have a powerful group coaching community of like-minded advisors. Come in for a trial. You and I will have a one-on-one conversation. Let's see if I can help elevate your game both personally and professionally.